Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out this early afternoon for my third DMA recital, my second recital here at Stony Brook in person, and my first DMA recital in person. That first piece was an original composition by Alan Raph called Rock, that was written kind of as a, this is what the bass trombone can kind of do. Alan Raph is a bass trombone player and was really kind of one of the first call commercial bass trombone players in the city for the greater part of 30, 35, 40 years. And a composer in addition to trombonist and teacher. Many albums that you've probably listened to that were recorded in New York, from about, maybe 1960 on till, into the 80s and everything. If you heard it, and you heard bass trombone, there's a pretty good chance you probably heard Alan Raph. One of the best ones is a Quincy Jones album called Walking in Space, that specific tune. Not entirely sure if that, I believe he's on some of those on that, otherwise it's Tony Studd on the other part. So this recital is framed around kind of a tribute to my teachers. Throughout my college career, I've had the wonderful pleasure of being able to study with 4 amazing teachers who've taught me so many different things. And this first piece is actually the first, I would say it's probably the first bass trombone solo I ever played without knowing that I was playing it. Because my undergraduate trombone teacher, Dr. Kyle Mack, whom I dedicated that performance to, used the opening riff of Rock in his big band audition manual, his audition packet. And so I'd played this many times before realizing, oh, it's actually a song. So I thought it fitting to dig into that. So now we'll move into the second piece of the program, one of the more substantial things, if I could ask my pianist to come up. I'd also like to apologize for what looks like a perfectly great piano in the corner. A few problems with it, so we've got a very in tune, lovely sounding piano that thankfully was in here. So this next piece, the Sonata for Bass Trombone by Sacco, was written and composed for one of my other teachers, John Rojek, back in 2006. Sacco is an American composer who teaches at Manus in the city, and it's actually written sonatas for both John Rojek for bass trombone and for my other teacher, Mike Powell, on tenor trombone. So please enjoy Sacco's Sonata for bass trombone. to the second half. So this next piece is an interesting composition from many directions. You'll hear some very modernist sounds a la the late 40s and early 50s. This next piece was written by Byron McCulloh, who was the bass trombonist with, I'm forgetting everything off the top of my head. I apologize. Mike, I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh Symphony.
I wanted to say Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Byron McCulloh was the bass trombonist for approximately 20 to 30 years with the Pittsburgh Symphony for a pretty long time. And was actually a very extensive composer in addition to his performing. And he graduated, studied at Eastman School of Music, studying trombone with Emory Remington, but actually getting his degree in composition. And this piece you're about to hear was on his graduation recital, and the date that's on the actual score. Sorry, David, you'll get this back in a second. 9:20 p.m., February 22nd, 1949. Now, Byron was a bass trombone player, but he didn't really consider the bass trombone as its own specific instrument. It was just a large trombone. In fact, his concerto is for large trombone and orchestra, I believe is what it says on the title. And so you'll hear everything from some low notes in here to some notes that get kind of up there for even the tenor trombone range. Is really, you can both tell his age, but also his advancement in his composition technique and his own playing technique of being able to perform this. In addition to his composition, he was also a poet, and I'd like to read one poem out of his compilation of poetry, The Brass Larynx, provided to me, thank you, by Mike. And this, actually I keep mentioning Mike, this next piece was actually brought to my attention by my teacher here at Stony Brook, Mike Powell, and it has more than grown on me. The first, initially going through it, it was kind of there's a lot going on in here. But as I get more into it, and as I especially have heard it with the piano and everything, it's really grown to be a significant piece that I've kind of really started to love, and hopefully gets more performances out of it. So that people can, when they search Byron McCulloh, they can hear this and say, I want to play that. So I'll open with a reciting of the Brass Larynx poem by Byron McCulloh before the Sonata for Trombone by Byron McCulloh. Viewing decades of vocal vicissitudes, it's aurally obvious I appeared on this planet equipped with a brass larynx. Not even a shower with its surrounding ceramics can dulcify its decibels. Fortunately, my oral apparatus is extended by a surrogate larynx, also of brass but expertly executed, to exploit the zephyrs expelled through my persistent puckerings, extracting me from a fate worse than life, a man without a song. please give us one moment to strike the piano and some quintet stuff. So the final piece on the program is not a solo bass trombone piece, but a bass trombone in the context of a brass quintet. This is one of my favorite outlets for performing because you get, in much like a string quartet where the cello gets so many soloistic lines, thus happens with the bottom end of the brass quintet with either tuba or bass trombone. Of course, this is a bass trombone recital. This quintet, actually our quintet here, I'm actually very thankful for these guys to be able to take some time out of their day to perform this. We've been working on quite a few things this past year, and this is about the longest piece we've continuous playing piece. And it's just always been a joy to play with these gentlemen up here for this past year. I'd like to, before we start this, I'd like to thank my pianist, David Voss, for putting everything together on that not easy piano parts, to say the least. I'm very thankful for his help with all that in his performing. This final piece is a set of selections from George Gershwin's opera Porgy and Bess, which has actually been pretty frequently performed at the Met in the past couple of years. This arrangement is made by Jack Gale, who was another big, significant trombonist in the New York City performing and recording commercial scene. And in addition to his trombone prowess, was also a very accomplished arranger. This quintet, the selections from Porgy and Bess, in addition to his setting of tunes from West Side Story, which is the more frequently performed sort of set of show tunes, really showcase his knowledge of writing for brass. And there's a special quality that he has in this. He unfortunately just passed away about a month and a half ago, I believe so. And so this performance actually goes to two people. It goes to both Jack Gale for giving us this wonderful music for us to play, in addition to one of my final teacher, who was also another huge inspiration to me, Sam Palafian, who was a long-term tuba player with the Empire Brass, and most recently, before he passed, with the Boston Brass. And every time I find myself very lucky to be able to study with two of the low-end, bottom-end players of two really fantastic brass quintets, John Rojak with the American Brass Quintet, in addition to Mike Powell on tenor, and Sam Palafian, who was a force to be with and a force to learn from. And so, Sam, yeah man, this one's for you.